Welcome to Modern Mystic Messages. I'm Teresa. Thank you so much for stopping by and clicking on the video. If this is your first time here, welcome. If you're returning, welcome back, soul family. Happy Sunday to you if you're seeing this on the day that I'm uploading it. And of course, if Sunday is in your rearview mirror, when you see this, it doesn't matter because I just saying that just to acknowledge those who are staying in touch in real time. I actually had a couple folks. I woke up this morning and a couple of members to the channel, Soul Family, has said good morning to me. And that, thank you. Y'all, you have no idea. Like I said, I'm a true hermit. So I love all the comments, the good mornings, the all of it. I'm absolutely loving that. I realized after what I'm getting ready to talk about, it made me go back and think about a comment that I got left yesterday, and it made me realize that exactly what I asked for is genuinely happening. I know for a fact that there's some folks in the soul family that I have a lot more in common. I mean, we haven't stopped and really compared notes, but from the little bit I'm getting in the comments and um yeah, I know what's happening. There was a beautiful sister that joined the channel yesterday. Garments of Dorcas. I love that title. That's her channel name. And I think she just started, she may have had the channel for a while, but she just started uploading some stuff to it. And of course, I went and I supported her as well, subscribed to her channel, and listened to her first message. And we weren't raised in the same religious background. I think her background is Church of God in Christ, whereas mine is Jehovah's Witness. But listening to her speak, I see that there's a big correlation. And I only mention that because what I'm going to speak about today, I think, is probably going to hit more than just a couple of us. And pardon me, I know I'm getting emotional already because truthfully, it was a little bit of melancholy. So let me just go ahead and spill it. I can't dance around it. Um, I woke up this morning, oddly enough, it was something very unusual. In my sleep, I don't even remember what else I was dreaming. And trust me, I'd be having some interesting dreams. And I want to say there was something involved with some space travel or something. I can't remember because when I woke up, I heard the phone ring one time, and it wasn't even like the ringer I have selected on my phone. It was just like an old fashioned telephone ring. But I heard one phone ring, and it sounded like my sister saying hello in my ear, in my left ear. And I woke up and I was laying there. Now, mind you, I'm in the house by myself. My roommate at this point been gone to work for since midnight. I'm just laying here, and it was probably about 7:30 ish or so. I'm guessing in the morning, maybe a little earlier. I think it was 7:30, and I heard my sister's voice. Again, why I thought it was my sister's voice, I have no idea. I have literally not talked to her for 5 years. We don't have any bad blood between us. We have a religion between us. And I know that they're not really supposed to socialize with family and all. And truthfully, with the way my spiritual awakening was set up, so to speak, as they say, I know that the things that I'm interested in talking about are only going to be controversial and cause problems. My sister is 20 years older than me, so at this point in the game, I just didn't really want to rock the boat. Ain't trying to argue. I have tried to talk to her before, and she made it very clear that she was very, well satisfied with her religious choices, and had an explanation. Everything that I was bringing up that I was learning, and I took exception to. She's given me the pat textbook Watchtower Society answer as to why she's right, and she was very satisfied with that. And yeah, so we really, really don't talk. But when I woke up this morning and heard her voice, I obeyed intuition and I called her. And it was a nice conversation. I mean, we were on the phone for almost 4 hours. She talks a lot. I do too. But one of the things that struck me after I got off of it, I was in my feelings a little bit because I realized that black sheep, melancholy, I don't know what else to call it. That's why I'm reaching for words a little bit here. But black sheep melancholy feels a lot like, or almost like, survivor's guilt or survivor's remorse in a way. And if you don't relate to that, I get it. Maybe you don't have that to deal with. But for those of us who have lost a lot of friends and family, especially if it was due to our spiritual beliefs, I think there's a little bit of, well, of course, there comes a point in time where you feel like you've escaped the burning building and you want to go back and rescue them, but they don't want to be rescued. So you really wish you could share what you learned and come to understand with them and make them understand what you understand, and they just ain't seeming to want to go that route. So what do? And you really can't have nothing to really talk to them about, and that makes you a little bit sad because even before you became spiritual, they probably discounted most of what you had to say. That's how you wind up in the black sheep spot in the first place. And then after you kind of learn those things and learn what you learned and gotten to a better place and done some of your healing and all that, you'd love to go back and share it with them. But again, they can't hear you. And truthfully, I don't even know why I'm so emotional about it today, because it's not like I'm stuck in one of those. I mean, honestly, during the conversation, and it was kind of eye opening and a little, like I said, a little melancholy for me. Not in the sense of what I've missed, because truthfully, I realized even though I hadn't talked to her in 5 years, and before that, it was probably another 5 years before I had spoke to her, and before that, it was close to 10 years. We really don't talk that much. As close as I felt to her once upon a time, I'm really not anymore. But honestly, even in the conversation today, it was, "Hi, how you doing?" And then I listened to an hour of complaints about the medical situations and the things they're going through and all that stuff. And it's not that I don't feel for those scenarios, but when I try to offer suggestions as to ways that could make it better, they got the answers, they got it under control, and it's not under control. But you know what I'm saying? They want to go and do whatever, all of that. But the self-deprecating laughter, I mean, the laughter was a mile a minute. Oh, chuckle, chuckle. And that's the way my family was. We could literally be at a funeral and laughing ourselves till our bellies hurt. That's the way pain was masked in our family, so much so it was a coping mechanism until it became a way of life. And oh, we're a mile a minute and everybody loves it and all the rest of that. But today I was sitting there realizing that at least 75% of the stuff that she was laughing at wasn't the least bit funny. Some of it was downright tragic, self deprecating, self effacing. I guess it was I don't know, nervous laughter to prevent embarrassment. But truthfully, the stuff that she was telling me, if she was embarrassed about it, she didn't have to tell me. But just so used to being that way. And then talking about things with her husband and all that kind of stuff. And I'm listening to the way she talked down about their relationship and him. And I'm sure she loves him. They've been together long as I've been alive, which is like 56, 57 years. So I'm not saying that she doesn't care for her husband. I'm saying that self-deprecating way that folks that deal with long-term depression kind of fall into, and I recognize it because I've done it. Like I say, I'm only sharing this stuff with you because there are some folks that appreciate my transparency and my honesty, and I came to understand that there are some folks out there that could benefit a little bit from my been there, done that, got a t-shirt brand of hard-earned wisdom. But when I was talking or listening to um, Garments of Dorcas's video last night, it made me realize, well, for a long time, I thought, I had that weight of that walk to bear, so to speak, because of my experiences of having basically been losing contact with my family when I left the Jehovah's Witnesses. And it was so interesting too, because today I apologized. I said, well, I know I'm not really supposed to reach out, that we're not really supposed to talk to you. And according to her, and she tried to tell me that they've softened the stance on that somewhat. They don't call it disfellowshipping anymore. They call it removal, and that you can have some contact. But for all the family that I got that's still in that organization, supposedly they can still have contact with me. They don't even call me to tell me somebody died. They have one of the nieces or nephews that ain't baptized text me the information. I got two living sisters on this planet that if I do not reach out to them, they never reach out to me. So they can't really tell me that the organization doesn't mind if they have contact with me. I don't believe that. And none of the other folks that I've discussed, or like information that I've gone to online and looked at and heard other ex witnesses talking about it, that's not really the way. And it was so weird because when I was talking to her, she genuinely started basically trying to open the doorway or coax me to let me know that I could come back if I wanted to. I'm like, my dear, not unless they put a bingo section and a smoking section in a bingo room. And even then, I don't smoke no more, so I don't even need none of that. There's no way. Now that I understand the truth and understand who Jehovah really is, you can't print enough money to make me serve him again because I love Yeshua. And once you understand and see the truth, you can't unsee it. But what frustrates me and makes me a little sad is that they can't see it. I know they sincerely love Jesus, as they call him. I prefer to say Yeshua because Jesus is a hail back to Zeus, Yahweh, that I just don't want to give. But even that they don't understand. And so wrapped up in their religiosity that you can't explain it to them. That's the part that really kind of bothered me, and I realized I'm not the only one. The sister that I mentioned over here, Garments of Dorcas, she said she grew up in Church of God in Christ. And the thing that really really drove it home for me, and listening to her speak, I understood we have the same understanding about who Yeshua is, about who Yahweh is, and that understanding of the Gospel of John when Yeshua spent 3 entire years trying to tell the Jews, y'all got it wrong. You're worshiping the wrong God. You are worshiping Satan, the devil. I do not come from the devil. That is not who sent me. That is not my Father. And yet, all of Christendom is still hoodwinked and bamboozled into believing that they're doing the right thing by worshiping in all these various different churches, whether it's Jehovah's Witness, Seventh day Adventists, the Mormons, the Presbyterians, the Lutherans, the Church of God in Christ, the AMEs, the Catholics, all of it. All of those people that are doing that, and like I said, we ain't even segue over into the Jews and the Muslims, all of them, every knee that bends and offers a prayer to Jehovah, Allah, Yahweh, is in direct defiance of what Yeshua told them to do. They claim to love Jesus, and he said, if you love me, follow me, obey me. Nobody's doing that. They're too busy obeying Yahweh, not even understanding that Yahweh is a dragon, a deceiver, a Satan, the devil, a liar, a manslayer. That's and again, that ain't me bad mouthing him. That's everything the Bible said about him. Because we don't understand that the Bible is a manipulated amalgamation of a lot of plagiarized ancient texts, but they put just enough truth in there in true Luciferian fashion that they can get away with hiding the truth in plain sight. It tells you in there that he's a liar and a manslayer, and that Satan is the God of this system of things. It says that in that Bible. And it tells you that the whole world is lying in the power of the wicked one. It tells you that in the Bible. And even in Revelation, all during that talk that I had with my sister today. She was steadily talking about how she's waiting for the great tribulation and Armageddon. That's the whole premise that Jehovah's Witnesses, they don't socialize with the world. They put themselves away from everything because they know that the end time is coming. In Revelation, it tells you that the great tribulation is what's going to happen right before Satan the devil is bound by Michael in the battle of Armageddon and destroyed in the lake of fire. And they still don't understand that Satan the devil is Yahweh. Because in that congregation, none of them have bothered to look at the Sumerian or Babylonian or Akkadian text. Only whatever is quoted by the handful of men that write their information at the Watchtower Society. All of them are aware of that. I guarantee you, all of the governing body knows exactly who Yahweh is. But they've ignored that for their own good, and they continue to perpetuate this sham of, I can't even call it a sham of Christianity. Christianity is real, it's just not Christ-like. They used Yeshua's name, and they don't even, Christ is not a name. Being Christos is a state of being, it's a point of ascension. Buddha was Christ. And it is possible in this day and time for humans to be Christ as well, or Christ. But we look at that one particular Christ, Yeshua ben Nazariah, or Yeshua ben Yosef, however you want to say it, Yeshua HaMashiach. We look at that as being the only Christos on this planet. And as a result, people think that because they are into a control point of a religion that supposedly wears his name and tells us to pray through him. And again, Christian prayers, you don't pray to Yeshua. And he said don't pray to him. They pray to Yahweh, Jehovah, and supposedly put it in Jesus' name. But when you do that, you're not putting it in Yeshua's name. You're delivering that prayer with a Hail Zeus on the end of it, because that's what Jesus means. And then closing the prayer with a binding spell from Amun Ra. Amen. So really, Jesus ain't nowhere in Christianity except hanging on that cross where they put him. And even witnesses don't believe in the cross. It's hanging on the pole, but they've still blurred their minds and accepted the poison. They done drank the Kool-Aid enough that they believe that Yeshua dying, hung on a stake like a common criminal, was something that had to happen to buy back or absolve us of all our dirty filth as humans, to appease Yahweh, to buy back us from Eve's mistake. Now, if Yeshua genuinely was Yahweh's son, you mean to tell me that you make all the rules because you are the all-eternal Alpha and Omega Sky Daddy, and you're going to require your son to be tortured and died to buy back a bunch of humans that you say are not worthy of anything but death, and you let him come down here to earth and do all of that, and you put him to death, and then humans are supposed to turn around and recommemorate that, basically celebrate that death all the time to show their loyalty, and then they pray to you and seal their prayers to you, and then end it with a binding spell, sharing that glory with the other power grabber, Anunnaki, Amun Ra. Because when we went through the Lost Book of Enki, it became very clear, and even more so, oh my goodness, in the Enuma Elish, you really saw how power hungry Marduk was. The Lost Book generally spoke about how Enlil, but even then Marduk was showing his behind too. But Yahweh and Marduk of the Anunnaki that was here on the planet, those are the two that wanted all the worship for themselves, all the power for themselves, push all their other family members and other fellow Anunnaki to the back, and wanted humans in servitude to them and them alone. So why in the world do we really think that he would give his son to buy back anything? Again, I was brainwashed into that too, but now that I understand and read some of these texts, it makes no sense. And what makes me melancholy, what made me started thinking about this today, and she was talking all of that, I can't tell her none of it. I don't want to have an argument because I'm not going to argue religion with anybody. I don't need to argue. Once you learn the truth, you don't got to argue with nobody. But even when I said I've got several articles, I said, well, I mentioned that I'm doing YouTube now and I've got some videos that I wanted to send her. She immediately started backpedaling, trying to explain to me. She had just spent an hour and a half talking about how she loved watching Ralphie May and she loved Josh Johnson and this video and that video and all of that. And the moment I said I was making videos, she started backpedaling, talking about how she don't really watch nothing or respond to nothing. It could be 2 or 3 days before she get her. So she's already telling me, you can send me whatever you want. I'm not going to watch it. That was the nice way of saying that. So no matter how many people I can help, no matter how much research I do, no matter how much documentation and people I can quote and experts in the field and how much I read out of the Bible and all the rest of that, I can help strangers, but I cannot help my family. And that gives me some black sheep melancholy. I don't even really want, like I said, I don't have nothing in common with them. And honestly, I can call, once every, whenever I got 3 or 4 hours to sit back and listen to all of the complaints and the this and the that and what's going wrong and who died. And again, that's not a witness thing. That's just what happened when people start getting old, I guess. I don't know. But at the end of the day, I have a lot of nieces and nephews that aren't 75 years old because at this stage in the game, I really don't expect her to make a change. If she did, if she accepted every word I said to be the absolute truth, I know how long it took me to fully turn off my worship gene and to be able to accept something different or whatever. And she's been so indoctrinated into that. It's been her whole life. I don't know what she would do with the rest of her life. She's 75 years old, 76 years old, and not in good health. What would she do if she didn't have the faith in the dragon to hold on to? I don't know. I mean, I'm glad that I'm a lot younger and again, I feel like I'm starting to get a little long in the tooth. But again, I was angry with religion at first. And that's crazy because I wasn't angry with Yahweh. I thought that the religion, that the preachers and the pastors and the popes and all of them just got it wrong. It wasn't until in my wanting to know the truth and really starting to drill down and like really taking the time to open my mind and read some of the other stuff other than just whatever church materials was being presented by the church that I was in, looking at that moment. When I started looking at the totality of the information and seeing exactly what was happening and came to understand, and yeah, I was able to turn it off. And again, I'm not even sure it's entirely off because I still do. I have plenty of respect for Inky. I wouldn't call it absolute worship. I would love an opportunity to commune more closely with him. And I have well, I guess like you said, if it come right down to it, I have no problem calling it service to him because truthfully, the service that Inky requires is about serving humanity to help them see and understand the truth. And according to the scriptures, once Armageddon is over with and all of that, and he comes back down with New Jerusalem in this base camp, there will be a need for plenty of service. It's not religiosity, it's not worship or service in a temple, it's service to humanity to help them be able to see or help administrate the implementation or the installation of the new earth. So if people want to call that worship, I don't really call it that. Like I said, service and worship is not the same thing. But in any event, I feel a little better now. So I appreciate you allowing me to share that with you today. Like I said, I realize that I'm probably not the only one. I may have been the only one that was absolutely ostracized as hard because of the religious policies of the congregation. But I'm sure there's plenty of you all who walked away from religion that have family that's still steeped in it, that you would love to be able to share these beautiful truths that we've been learning with, and they absolutely do not want to hear it. They can't hear it. They're still asleep. They're still brainwashed, and therefore they absolutely cannot hear it. All it's going to do is hurt their feelings or make a huge argument, right? What do you do? What do you do with that? Truthfully, you have to learn to let it go. Keep doing you, one foot in front of the other. And maybe one day they will hear. Maybe one day they'll let their guard down. Maybe they won't. They might leave off of the planet never seeing the truth. And truthfully, I guess at the end of the day, it's a little sad, but that's okay too. Even if that great tribulation or Armageddon, as they talk about, comes and they're not spared, that's not really our concern. You'd be sad for them, but since you understand that death is not what they make it out to be, that it's still kind of sort of going to be okay. They either get an opportunity to come back and learn under a new paradigm after all of this is over with, or everlasting cutting off. You know there's no burning hell. We did. That was one of the first things we learned. So ain't got to worry about that. And by the same term, we also know that the concept of heaven, as they've been sold it, is not happening either. So if they devote their whole lives to a lie and leave here unfulfilled, then it just is what it is. But it's not something we actually have to be super upset about. But like I say, it just left me a little point of melancholy because I wish I could share those things, because I know how sincere they are. I know how much they want to be serving God properly. I know that they actually love Yeshua and do have no clue what a huge disservice they've done to him and themselves by listening to these indoctrination lies that we've been given. I know for a fact if my mother had really known and understood the history of the religious organization she was getting us into, she would not have done it. She was a true seeker. She told me that. She had explored Spiritism, Judaism, uh, Islam, with the Nation of Islam, all of that. She was doing all of that and landed with Jehovah's Witnesses. Had no idea the racist history or background of the organization because they whitewashed that part away. But again, I can't even say it's no different than any of the others. We talked about that in one of the earlier videos I did. It's just a part of that stirring up of the energy that happened in the mid 1800s as Yeshua came back on the planet in preparation for Armageddon. He said Holy Spirit would come as a helper, and it did. And some of those folks, in their zeal and misunderstanding or whatever it is, they wanted to do something different, so they created these other religions, but they did not have enough real secular understanding to understand that it wasn't just about splintering off and making yet another sect of Christianity. They had no way of knowing and understanding at that point, because remember, the Dead Sea Scrolls and all of that had not been found yet. The library at Nineveh had not been uncovered yet. The Nag Hammadi text had not been uncovered yet. So those that formed those religions in the mid 1800s and the early 1900s, they wanted to do something different, so they just created another sect of Christianity. They had no idea that Yeshua was telling people that, yeah, all of y'all got it wrong, the Jews and everything else, because he wasn't talking about them over there when he said you worship your father the devil. He was talking right in front of the people that he was talking to and trying to teach and witness, the Jews. He wasn't talking about the Pharisees and the Sadducees. He was talking to the Jews. They was worshiping Yahweh, and he told them, you're worshiping Yahweh, you're worshiping the devil. So Christians turned around and did what? Picked up Yahweh worship. They renamed it Jehovah, but it's the same being. And now they're carrying on with the same devil worship that Yeshua was trying to warn them against. And yeah, I guess that does justify a little melancholy. But we'll be all right. We still continue to, like I say, we draw our soul family. We love each other. and do what we can where we can, and understand that there are people that can hear our truths, and we'll find each other that way. And I guess if you're getting your feelings sometimes about it, because you do love your family, even if you can't really, really talk to them, it's okay. It's absolutely okay. But in any event, that was it for Sunday. I wish it had been a happier note. I'm like I said, I'm okay. I'm just a little full, and I just needed to talk to somebody. So I appreciate you hearing me out. And I am gonna get in here. We're gonna go. I will get on with Atra Hasis. I think on tablet 2 is coming up this afternoon, and I do have a couple of readings on deck. We got a lot of folks that are manifesting love and divine counterparts and twin flames or kingdom spouses or whatnot. I've seen several folks in the uh, soul family that are resonating with that. So I'm going to pull a love reading here a little bit later as well. Thank you so much, family, for joining me today. And until next time, peace and blessings to you. I love you. Namaste.